Hi, welcome everyone to SQE One Window. The topic of our discussion today is understanding tort law. Right, everyone? Let's get this clear from the start that tort law is your legal safety net when life goes wrong and there is no contract to rely on. For example, your neighbor is doing DIY and floods your kitchen. No contract, but still you deserve a remedy. That is tort law in action. It steps in when someone's conduct interferes with your right. Now, the SQE1 loves to test your understanding of what tort law actually does. So, point to understand is it does not punish, it compensates. That is your first mental checkpoint, whether you understand it or not. Whenever you see words like punishment or deterrence, think, oh, it's not tort. It might be crime. Keep hammering this phrase in your brain to understand what is tort and what is not tort. Tort equals compensation, not punishment, and negligence dominates this topic. If you get comfortable with negligence, you are already covering around 80% of tort questions in SQE 1. So, to start with general principle of tortious liability, we'll try to look at different components and elements. So here come 4 cornerstones and they are exam gold. Every SQE tort question is built on these different areas or elements. For example, number 1 is protected interest. Ask yourself, is the claimant's interest one of the law actually recognizes? Is it recognized by law? Is there personal injury or property? If it is yes, move on. For example, emotional disappointment, usually they are not covered under tort. So when a question shows an unusual type of harm, stop and test it against this rule. Number 2 is responsibility. Did the defendant act intentionally, recklessly, or negligently? Remember, strict liability sneaks in sometimes. For example, it is in consumer protections law and all, in that they don't look at intention, they look at cause and effect. Did the product made by a company cause damage to consumer at that point? And number 3 is causation and remoteness. The good old but for test, the cause and effect. Would the damage have happened but for the defendant's action? If the answer is yes, there is no causation. Compensatory purpose, that's the 4th one. This keeps tort grounded. It's about putting the claimant back where they were, not giving them a financial windfall. Be sharp here. The SQE will never hand you a straightforward question. They will twist one of these principles, spot which one is under attack, and once you know it, you win it. So another thing that we need to understand is, and that is the structure of tort, that is duty, breach, and damage. Here is the beating heart of negligence. Duty, breach, and damage. Get these 3 things tattooed in your legal memory. Let's test your thinking. Imagine Oliver is texting while driving and hits Priya, who is crossing the road. Duty? Yes, there is duty. Texting while driving flunks the reasonable person test, that a reasonable person will not text while driving. Damage? Absolutely. Priya is injured. Now, if you got it, you got full marks of negligence. Now change one fact in it, like just a little tweak. Oliver is careful and Priya suddenly runs into road. Now you need to look at duty. Still yes. Breach? No damage? Yes. But without breach, no claim that Oliver has done all what he was supposed to do. At that point, there was duty, but there was no breach. So SQE1 exam loves same facts, different conclusions. Never jump to someone's heart. So someone must pay Never get emotional in those questions. Tort law does not think that way. Always work in a system that is breach. Was there a duty? Was the duty breached? And is there any damage? When you practice questions, say those words out loud before you pick an answer. It disciplines your brain and trains you to think like a solicitor, and that's the purpose of SQE 1. So, why compensation matters? Let us talk about the soul of tort law, and that is compensation. Once again, it is not punishment. Tort law is restorative. It restores people where they were. It asks how we make things right, not how do we punish. If someone smashes your old iPhone that is worth £400, it does not mean that you deserve or you will get iPhone 17 or the latest model of it. Here is your SQE insight watch for question about damages, where the claimant is trying to claim more than they lost or fail to take step to reduce their loss. That's when the duty to mitigate kicks in. They must take reasonable action to limit their loss. And remember, punitive damages are unicorns. They exist, but you shall almost never see them in negligence. So if a multiple choice answer says to punish the defendant, it's waving a red flag. Don't pick it. Tort is about fairness, not fury.